Hi everyone, this is Yu Tsai. Welcome to Let's Talk. And today my guest is my ex-boss as well as my friend Kanai and calling in from New York. She's the editor-in-chief of Marie Claire magazine. Welcome, Aya.
Thank you for having me. I am so honored to be live in my bedroom um, here with you today.
Well, I'm excited for you to be here because today, guys, we're going to go through some of the journey we have spent together on many magazines covers that we have worked on together. And we're going to learn a little bit about the journey, how you got to the position of Marie Claire editor-in-chief. And that's super exciting for me because I have seen your journey from beginning to end. And it's not the end, it's just a new beginning. So before we dive into that, I just want everybody to know that your position before was actually it's a long title. It's a chief fashion director of Hearst publication, correct?
That's correct. It was sort of an unusual job, but I was overseeing all of the fashion content for about 6 or 7 different brands at Hearst. So that's Cosmo, Women's Health, Good Housekeeping, Redbook, Women's Day, and a lot of digital content as well for various different websites. And we were very busy and not 1 minute of boredom ever.
Well, some of the titles we got to work on together, as you can see from behind me, is Cosmopolitan Magazine, 17 Magazine, Redbook, and what an honor to be able to collaborate with you on all these magazines. Now, one of the questions that people always ask, how do you make sure that each magazine has its own identity while you're watching over all of them?
So when we're working on the fashion content for various different magazines, what that means, I think sometimes people, when we use the word content, people don't know what that means. So what that would mean, whether it's a written piece or a photo shoot, we would be putting together the ideas and the pitches, and then of course executing the photo shoots or the cover shoots, which is what Yu Tsai would be doing with us all the time, and we would have the best time on set. So what that means is that when I am pitching a fashion concept to an editor in chief, I need to keep in mind 100% the brand DNA. So, what's right for Cosmopolitan is not what's right for 17, and it's not what's right for Redbook or Good Housekeeping or all the other brands. So, it's about being very close with the editors in chief to make sure that I understand them as my client and give them what's right for their brand. So it's about constant conversation.
And it's interesting because back in the days, photographers are really put into a box, right? You shoot for this publication, you have identity for this publication. I've been so fortunate in a Hearst publication family that I started actually shooting men's magazine. I started shooting for Esquire and then moved over to Cosmopolitan and then 17 and at times Redbook. So it's so important that you give me the direction what that day would be because ultimately my job is to take beautiful pictures, but what you put in front of me is what translates into your audience. Is that correct?
That's absolutely true. And I do think that when it comes to our collaborators to work with a photographer like yourself, someone like you is able to go between different brands and understand the look and feel of a different brand. Not every person is capable of that. And frankly, not every person wants to do that.
Right.
Whereas for someone like you who really enjoys and has you bring so much joy to the set, and you truly deeply in your heart, I know you enjoy making women of all kinds feel beautiful. And so that
That's something
applies to
that
any
we
brand.
and that we echo each other very, very well. And just for the fun of it, let's go through the different identity of it. So, for example, for Cosmopolitan, and here's an example of a shoot that I thought was one of the most successful shoot we ever done together.
We had so much fun.
It was in every international edition. It was a cover that I think you called me and said, "You saw it. It's sold out, and we're reprinting, and it's in every language that you can ever imagine."
Yes, I think it got repurposed probably like more than 20 times internationally. And of course, at Cosmopolitan, when I was working there, we had every single Kardashian, including one cover shoot where we had the entire family, but we had every single Kardashian individually on their own cover over the course of the years. And when it came to us shooting Kourtney, we really wanted to try something new and different and to kind of break the format of what is an expected Cosmopolitan cover. And so, as you know, Yu Tsai, like we built this whole set in which Yu Tsai was almost suspended above Kourtney, about like 8 feet above her, in order to, we had to build the scaffolding in order to make sure that Yu Tsai could comfortably take these pictures.
So and I'll give you a little background, guys. So when you're shooting Kourtney in this picture you see behind me, she's actually laying down on the bed. If she was truly laying down horizontal, her face, everything would fall back and the gravity would pull on her. So her body composition would actually be compromised. And she's a mom. And for me, that day was so special because I shot all the Kardashians. I shot them all. And she was one of them that I really wanted to shoot because she was a mom, she had kids, and she's everyday woman relates to her, and her messaging is very different from the other sisters. And I wanted her to be as powerful as this picture was Kim, who's just a sex bomb, no matter what. So you and I had this conversation, I remember technically how to attack it so that her body is beautiful. And we didn't want to do retouching. I remember it's like, we don't want to retouch, we don't want to touch.
And she didn't want it.
She didn't want it.
The other really fun thing about working with the Kardashians is how much they support each other. I remember on that day we were in so there's a studio in LA that has like an airplane hangar. And so
Milk studio.
Milk studios. And so we drove into the airplane hangar, and there's kind of a door that comes up that cars can drive straight onto the set. And Kim came by to visit, and her whole fleet of cars kind of like drove right onto the set, and she came in and she was able to look at the images, and we all got so excited together. And I think that that's something that the world doesn't see, is that in all of their own genuine behind the scenes moments, what they're doing is supporting each other.
Yes, and Kris Jenner showed up as well. The patriarch showed up as well. And we were filming an episode of this for their TV show for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So with those dynamic on set, it requires a lot of moving parts. And for the reason that I was on the scaffolding, because we actually tilt the bed in a 45-degree angle, so that I have to be right above her in order to shoot her that still looks parallel. And as you can see from this image, that her body is impeccable. The composition is all there. And it was, I remember Alex, the art buyer on set, the photo production art buyer on set, had said to me, I never thought that you had to do that. This is how I approach it, so that the gravity actually helps the image. And it became and when we showed that behind the scenes video, when it went viral on every network, everybody DM me like, oh, that's your trick. How women look beautiful when they're laying down.
And also the wonderful Chris McMillan. And Makeup by Mario, who was also there. Every piece of hair was perfectly in place. Every lash was perfectly in place. And, I think that if you can imagine how stressful it is to have your photograph taken for a magazine, especially when you're wearing a bathing suit and, like barely dressed, you want to feel like it's your most confident day. And we were able to give that to her.
I think for the identity for Cosmopolitan, for sure, because it's really a woman magazine, empowering women, talking to women. We really have to make them feel authentically celebrating themselves in order for other people to celebrate. And when you see Kourtney in this picture laughing, this was not me directing her to laugh. This is me asking her, how do you feel? And then she's like, I feel good. And boom, and I remember you're like, oh my God, you just got that moment by not telling her what to do. And I think that's what we work so well together, is constantly trying to echo what you do. So in the different identities, such as 17 magazine, for example, let's talk about that. So how do you approach 17, which is total contrast of Cosmo?
Yes, so 17 is naturally our youngest, more teen and Gen Z oriented brand. This is when Empire, the television show Empire, was on television, we wanted to shoot the younger members of the cast because that show was just blowing up and doing it incredibly well. And you and I had the point of view that when you're shooting for 17, of course, the audience cares about the talent, they care about who you're casting, but they also really want it to feel like a fashion story.
Yes.
And I think that we approach this, and I don't know, the inside pictures, maybe we can put those on the website, but I think that every look inside was able to convey a fashion moment. And the talent, the celebrities who we cast, were kind of like part of the fashion story, and it wasn't exclusively a celebrity story. So the reader was able to get double the value, where they could see great fall fashion and they could also see it worn by some of the coolest young celebrities out there. So that was a really fun story. And of course, um, I know that you are very familiar with working with male talents, but for me, dressing men is not something that I do very often. I'm more of a women's wear stylist. So it was a great challenge for me to like pull all the different men's clothes and put together trends that made sense for that market as well.
And this is interesting because Empire does have a super identity in fashion. They were pushing every boundary. And on this shoot in particular, I'll give you guys a little behind the scene that we didn't only shoot for 17, we also shot them for Cosmo, which
Mhm.
was I had to make sure I adjust the composition, the sensuality,
Energy.
the energy, right?
Yeah.
And thank God for these two incredible talent, they were able to adjust. So as you can see, when we started shooting them for Cosmopolitan, she's much stronger in her body language. The
Yeah.
leg is showing. She has
Yes.
the power. The wind. We love wind for Cosmo, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, from a fashion point of view, and I know that all of you Yu Tsai lovers are also fashion fans, that the kind of brands that I would pull as a stylist for
Mm.
Cosmopolitan were different types of brands than we would have in 17. So if you can imagine, when we're on the photo shoot doing both Cosmo and 17, I have an area of the racks that's all Cosmo clothes, and then an
Mm.
area of the racks that's all 17 clothes, and I have to make sure to keep my head separated.
And this is such a great example. You're looking at this as a Cosmo shot. They're much more mature. They're much more confident. They're badass. And
Yeah.
you look at when they're for 17, they're friendlier. They're
Yes.
friends, and they're so that's something that I don't think that readers often understand. What we have to do is to communicate so closely to the identity of each of the publications. And then,
Also, I think that one of the great things that Yutsai does is that when there's more than one person in the picture, even if those two people are friends in real life, sometimes this very weird thing happens, which is that people become like a stone
yeah,
as soon as the camera gets pointed in their direction. And so a really good photographer is able to kind of bring the energy back and bring them into being themselves again, because I think everyone gets so nervous, and I think I'm sure you've all felt this way when you're having your photo taken. It's like suddenly you're like, oh, where do I put my hands, what am I doing?
I'm, I'm
Even 30 seconds ago you were natural, and now you don't know what to do.
And it's so funny you mentioned that. That's one of the questions that people ask me a lot because I love shooting groups. You know I love shooting groups.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, can I get more people? And I'll give you my tricks, guys. If you want to know how to shoot in groups, this is what I always tell my talent. One, if you really like them, you're gonna pretend you don't. You're gonna push each other away from each other. If you don't like somebody, actually try to hug each other. What happens is that it creates a weird dynamic energy. It's like a magnet, and that push and pull, what I call it, drunk on the boat theory. When you're drunk on a boat, you don't fall off, but you just start drifting. You start moving, you start shifting. And that movement and the shifting will cause such amazing, we call that magic moments in between the moments that we want to
Yes.
capture. And that's what happened with these guys. Listen, these two talent have their own dynamic, how they work together every day on set, and they're professional actors. They are acting to be good or acting to be bad for television. But photography is very different. We have to catch authenticity, and if it doesn't happen naturally, you as an audience will see it, and we didn't do our job. So they were definitely playing drunk on a boat for me that day, and it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. And
Drunk on
then,
a boat is the best possible way to describe it. I love that.
right? Don't you think? I mean, that's what I tell people. I'm like, okay, if you need a glass of wine, if you're of age, go have a glass of wine. But
Mhm.
in this case, they didn't need to have a glass of wine. We just happened to be, they're on a boat and drifting. And then we get to work on something that's a little bit more mass audience and a little bit
Yes.
more mature. Redbook, and we love her. We love Jenna. Jenna. We love Jenna Dewan.
The best part about working with Jenna is that she's a dancer. And so, from a
Love.
styling point of view, to have someone that really understands their body as a tool of expression is a really such a huge gift. And I'm sure from a photography point of view
Oh,
as well, because when I'm basically at the beginning of every photo shoot, I do a fitting with the talent where we try on all the outfits and I take pictures either with my phone or with a camera, a Polaroid camera, so that Yu Tsai can see, okay, here are the 8 looks that we're thinking about doing. What do you think? And we kind of decide the locations. When you're working with a dancer, the day is truly a gift
oh.
because they know how to move like nobody's business. They know all of their angles already. And I think that what's amazing about a dancer, and I'm curious your point of view as well, Yutsai, is that like a dancer, I think is less self-conscious
Ah.
because they are holding themselves with that dancer like confidence, um, no matter what. And
And
so,
yes,
yeah,
I will echo you with that. I know, I have a dancer background. I danced for years for Disney. And I bring that knowledge on set all the time. And I always tell my female talents that instead of arching your back and sitting up straight like you're doing a tango, I want you to tuck your tailbone down. If you guys at home
mm,
try this in the mirror, if you look at yourself sideways, when you tuck your tailbone down, you magically actually giving the illusion you lost about 10 pounds, believe it or not, because you're moving away from the lens
right.
and you're
Suddenly you're
compressing your body. And you have no choice but tying your core. The moment you tighten your core, it elongates your body. One thing as a photography out there working with other people, try not to tell people to say, suck it in or stand up straight, or you actually have to find a way to communicate with them in order for them to do the things you want them to do without telling them. And that's really directing. And
that's so true.
that's you and I always have those conversations. You say, hey, you sigh, this dress is not gonna look great unless the legs show through. I would never go to her and say, I need to see your leg to make the dress look good. What I would do is say, kick your leg out so it opens the space. Walk through it. So we definitely collaborate in the way that is lyrical. And when you work with a dancer, I never have to say point your finger because they naturally just do. The
Yeah.
toes are pointed. I mean, look at her. That shape
And
is
it's
so
so fun. I mean,
beautiful.
I think that, people that understand their body and have like a background of understanding photography just bring a different energy to
And
the
she
set.
trusts. She also trusts. I remember when you showed me the Polaroids, there were so many. You literally said to me, you can shoot any of them. It doesn't
I
matter which
know,
one. She
yeah,
can make them look great. So the process, share with everybody the process a little bit. Once you pick, let's say, 10 outfits to shoot, some of them may not register well on
absolutely.
camera. What do you do?
So I think that sometimes the kind of clothes that you will select for a photo shoot are not necessarily the same ones that you might wear in daily life
Hmm.
because how an outfit shoots, whether in video or in still pictures, is quite different than how it might look if you're, say, wearing that outfit to a wedding reception or some other red carpet event. And so I think a stylist really needs to be able to focus on making sure that the clothes for a photo shoot, especially for cover shoots, which is what I work on the most consistently with celebrities, is what makes sense for still photography. Now, naturally, every still photography shoot is now also a video shoot.
Oh,
So, we've got a lot of balls in the air and we have to make sure that that look has what we call like 360 appeal, that it's going to look great from the front, from the side, because we always have behind the scenes video crew shooting and then, of course, video that is generally being produced on the same day. So we kind of have a lot of balls in the air.
so
But when
we
I
don't get to show a bunch of pins on the side.
Exactly. And when I am presenting the outfits that I have done in a fitting to a photographer like Yu Tsai, I want to make sure that he has options because
Mm.
Yu Tsai will already have some ideas about how he envisions this person looking that day. So I don't want, if we need to shoot 6 pictures, I don't want to just come out of the fitting room with 6 outfits because we need to be able to have, it's kind of like playing cards. We need to be able to look at them all together, look at the location. On this day with Jenna Dewan, we were at a beautiful private
Malibu
residence
home.
in Malibu, so it was really not hard to find places to take pictures. But I need to be able to show him all the different colors, the different shapes, so that when we're deciding what's our cover look, what's going to be great for inside, opening, double page spread, all of that kind of stuff is what we're considering.
And it's so important because what I do as a photographer is I'll take that Polaroid and I literally walk around and do this.
Yes.
And I remember we saw this bougainvillea with blooming, and you had this beautiful dress that just echoed that feel when she
Yes.
said, I'm gonna pull that picture up so you get this. And I saw that dress and I go, we have to shoot this dress and we don't have to shoot it in front of the flowers. We actually can do the layout so you can see that little border around it that catches the essence of the bougainvillea that's actually not going in her body. Those are the details that it's so refreshing when you can work with somebody that trusts you and can work with you on visions to complete. Because not everybody can see. And I think that's why our collaboration has been so strong over the years. I mean, many, many years we got to work together.
Yes. And I think the other thing that is so funny is that sometimes when you're selecting the outfit that's going to be the cover shot, um, we we pick something that is somewhat unexpected because for the cover of a magazine, you have to imagine it in layers. The first layer is always going to be the beautiful photograph that the photographer has shot. The other layer is the clothing that the talent has on. But the main layer that the consumer sees is all of the text and then the name of the magazine above the person. So if the clothing is too loud, then the text that tells the reader what the stories are and the text that shows the name of the magazine gets all too confused. So it's something that people who are on set of photo shoots when they're coming from a magazine background are always thinking about all these different layers.
And it's
because
so good you mentioned this. So good because it's like we learned this in art school. There's middle ground, foreground, and background. And I find this true with young photographers who show up thinking they're just delivering a picture. You're not. You're delivering one element of the picture. What happens afterwards? For example, this picture right here where Redbook is such a good example. We had to make sure there was a horizon line just enough for the masthead to sit on. We have to make sure the background doesn't blow out because the text is going to be white, so the ground is a little darker. So when you're lighting the set in studio, like this one, or in an exterior shoot, we are constantly playing that science. And my background's in graphic design, so it really does help to have that notion in my head all the time. But go ahead.
Yes, and I think one last thing is that like when everything we're talking about is done well, the consumer
Don't see it.
doesn't see it.
Absolutely.
Like it should not be obvious to you that all of these ideas and this thinking process has happened. It should be completely in your subconscious.
Yes. And yes, all these amazing titles we got to work together with Hearst. You also have extra career on the side. You are a judge on Project Runway Junior. Share us with some of that experience.
Yeah, so I spent about 2 years as a judge on a television show called Project Runway Junior, which was a show about teenagers who were fashion designers. And all of them were between the ages of 13 to 17. So they were all quite young, completely, of course, new in their careers. They were students. And we shot in here in New York City, and it was such a wonderful experience to be able to cultivate young talent. And at that time, the one of the prizes was the opportunity to have a spread in 17 magazines, so that was amazing as well. And they of course got a cash prize and a lot of other amazing opportunities as a result of it. But for me, it's so interesting because as Yu Tsai knows, you have a big television career. For me, I never considered myself to be that kind of TV personality. But when I started doing it, I was completely um, in love with the way in which we had the opportunity to give this incredible feedback to young artists. And so at a certain point, and I don't know if you ever feel this way, like I would kind of just like forget that I was there and I would just feel like I was engaging with the person. And especially because they were teenagers and they're so young and so vulnerable, we were able to create real relationships. So I loved it. You know, I don't, becoming a television personality is not my goal in life, but in that particular case, I really liked it.
And I remember we had offline conversation about this, the multiple reasons why I brought this subject up. Because when I saw you on Project Runway Junior, I took a nice deep breath and I was so proud because I, as an Asian American as well, we don't find enough Asian representation in the field of television. And on top of that, expertise of someone who knows their craft and representing their craft and being Asian. That was something that was so important to me. And I remember we had a long conversation actually on the Redbook shoot with Jenna. I put you inside and I said, you have a responsibility now. You are representing the Asian community, and I want you to do more. And I remember you said, this is not what I want to do. I go, it's not what you want to do. I don't care, but you're so good at it, and you just gonna have to do because you don't realize the impact you're setting on people. Now, you mentioned, do you lose yourself in the space when you do reality TV? You do, and that's why I get in trouble because I have no filters, and I just say what I need to say. So I've done a lot of judging shows. I could
Mhm.
never be in the position that you're in for the juniors because I am I would probably start breaking down and cry because the
Oh
things
yeah.
I would say would probably not be best for them. I would have to learn how to speak to them. You know what I mean? Because I work with adults. If I don't like something, I'm like, dude, what is that you're doing? You're wasting my time. I can never do what you do, which is such a beautiful way of nurturing young talent.
Well, I think that constructive feedback is kind of, I mean, certainly in my new role as editor in chief, like I all day, every day am engaging with very talented editors who all have a very strong point of view. And that, of course, has to get filtered through all of the different editors at Marie Claire and then ultimately until me. And so when I am making a decision, I know that I have to take into consideration every single editor who
Mm.
feels so strongly about their point of view. And I really want to be respectful because I know, having been an editor of every kind, that when you come with your creative ideas, it's like you're putting your heart on a plate and
Mm.
saying, what do you think of this? It's so personal.
And then you have to take that personal message and give it to a photographer and bring him into the fold. And that's such a task. I think it's you have to find the right pairing. And that it's like a good
It's true.
wine, you know, you gotta get a good wine with a good meal, right? To complete the meal. Well, let's talk about editor in chief. The position of editor in chief, just for our audience to know, what is that? What is it so different being an editor in chief versus a chief, a fashion director?
So as a fashion director, I focused exclusively on the fashion content. Now at Marie Claire, my job is to oversee the total brand and to, of course, help evolve our brand and grow in all the ways that we need to on various different platforms. So in digital, in the experiential platform, and then of course the magazine as well. And so because I come from more of a fashion point of view, that's always kind of, if I put it like, that's like my home. But when I am working with various different editors who are incredibly talented, whether they are features editors or our executive editor or our photo editors, like all of those people have their own editorial aesthetic, as it were, and their own expertise. So I know, even as an editor in chief, it's my opportunity to learn from the people on my team, and we can collaborate the best possible way if I give everyone the opportunity to feel like they were heard and like that their creative contribution matters. I think that in the past, a quote unquote editor in chief was someone who was like, I don't know, like ruling with an iron fist.
Like Devil
And
Wears Prada?
yeah, and I'm not that kind of person. I really, for me, I want to have collaboration above all else. I think that this brand, especially Marie Claire, which is all about empowerment of women, is something that it would be to the detriment of our audience if I made every story about my point of view. It's not only my point of view, it's the team Marie Claire, and this is the gift and the product that we're giving to our readership. So it shouldn't be exclusively my point of view. I want a healthy conversation and a healthy debate in whatever story we're talking about, whether it's fashion, beauty, a great feature, or any topic that we're covering. I want it to be a healthy conversation and a healthy debate.
So what I'm hearing is that you're no longer just responsible for the outfits, the beauty of things. You're actually making words matter for the readers.
Yeah, especially for a brand like Marie Claire, which is all about the substance and style of the American woman, and certainly the American career woman. Our point of view 100% has to do with elevating women who have their own careers. They might be founders of a company or a CEO of a company, or a woman who certainly hopes and wishes to be one of those things at some point. And so for us to create a platform where women can feel like they can see other women being elevated is the number one mission of our brand. And whether we're doing that through a very serious reported feature or a joyful fashion story, I want that to come across in every page of the magazine. And that's my job and my objective. And I do not do that alone by a long shot. And no editor-in-chief does. Like we have an incredible team of people who all bring something different to the table.
Then, do you feel that being Asian in this industry, there are not many editor-in-chief that's Asian in the American market? Having this role and having being Asian, do you feel that you have more responsibility to bring diversity into it, bring your point of view from a more global perspective into the work you're doing for Marie Claire?
Yeah, well, what's amazing is that Marie Claire is originally a French brand. And so we are the American sister of the original French brand. And there are 29 international editions around the globe. I've actually become really close friends with a lot of the other international editors, and we'll be featuring them in the magazine because I think that for us at Marie Claire, a global point of view and a modern woman is a global woman. So it's a perfect marriage of who we are and who the modern woman is. And so I think, especially in a time in our world where we are all experiencing world events together, that for Marie Claire to continue to drive deeper into that global point of view makes a lot of a difference. Now, yes, I am the first Asian American editor-in-chief at Marie Claire. That said, I have been here in this industry for, my goodness, 20 years. I've been working in the media business for about 20 years. Just saying, still looking cute. But I hope that I deserve my role, regardless of what I look like and where I'm from.
And you know what? I bring that up because in the world I'm very sensitive being an Asian photographer because in the period when I started rising in the business, that I was one of the few Asian photographer in the market, as you know. And at first, I'm wondering, are people hiring because I am the token Asian photographer, or are they hiring for my work? And it takes time for us, for me especially, to realize that my work is first, and then once the work gets commissioned, I can then put my spin on it from an Asian perspective to the work. Because I work so internationally, as you know, when I do Asian publication, I do a lot of Hearst publications in Asia, and I have to think very differently when I shoot for them. And I started my career in Marie Claire shooting for Russia Marie Claire, which is another note that's different than the U.S. Marie Claire. I got discovered by U.S. Marie Claire when I shot the whole entire year of beauty for Marie Claire in UK. That was amazing, by the way. This is when back in the days we go on trip 1 month and we shoot the entire year worth of art.
Can you believe?
Can we do that again, please? Can we do that again? It was amazing. So, and then that was when you guys saw it, and Marie Claire, they're like, wait, Yu Tsai is shooting London magazine, but his point of view is global. We can use these stories, similar stories. They actually, my most proud moment in the U.S. publications when Marie Claire UK's work was published in Marie Claire US, and they call me.
Ooh, that's good.
That's really
That's good.
rare. And that's very rare, you guys, because people don't want to do pickups. And especially US publications don't do pickups. And when that happened, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And that,
Yes, it's like a seal of approval.
oh my gosh. Well, I want to talk about your point of view for sure as Marie Claire editor-in-chief. And this is your very first cover.
Yes. Yes, it is the first issue that we produced where I was the editor in chief at Marie Claire. And once again, I would never ever claim ownership over every part of what we do because truly, although yes, my title is editor in chief, it is 100% a collaboration of so many very talented people that I could not do this without. This is Meg the Stallion, who, as I'm sure you all know, is the Savage Challenge on TikTok and Instagram. And she is such an incredible, young, talented artist who, as you might know, she is also getting her degree in hospital administration at the same time as she is one of the biggest pop stars in the world right now. And that is what makes her a Marie Claire woman to me, which is that she prioritizes her education just as much as she is like the hottest person in social media, the hottest young artist, the coolest rapper, all of that stuff. She has said to Marie Claire and in other places in the press that, as she said to Marie Claire, there was never a plan A and a plan B. There was always two plan A's, which is to say she wanted to be an artist and she wanted to get her education. And the Marie Claire reader is a culturally informed, well-educated woman. And so that's why I picked her for my first cover at Marie Claire. And I also, as you know, as a creative person, I really wanted to pick an image that was non-traditional.
Oh, that was what I was going to ask you. How guys? For those of you guys who have not worked in publication, when I saw this cover as a photographer, instantaneously I got chills. And instantaneous, I know you were going to make a point to put this visual first. Not only you put a diverse woman, curvy woman, which is everything I love, and then you gave me a picture that she's profile.
Yeah.
She's actually profile. And as a photographer who shots for so many covers, we're always told engage into the camera or else they can communicate. We need to have them smiles in their eyes. They need to talk to us. But this picture spoke so loudly without her having to look at you. And that to me is what really, really powerful.
Well, I think also it's great, for the Yu Tsai audience to know that magazine covers historically, as Yu Tsai is mentioning, had a very specific format.
Yes.
You had to have eye contact. You have to have a smile. You have to have a certain kind of pose and a certain kind of crop. And I think that these days the rules are either the rules are different or there are no more rules. And I think that coming from a creative background, I have always known that the consumer is a really smart person.
Yes.
And now that every person is looking at social media all day, their eye is trained to be a much higher level of understanding visually. And so when we are selecting images for the cover, I want something that would make you stop
and we
in
did.
Your feed, in your Instagram feed that you're scrolling all day. I want something that will make you stop and be like, oh my God, who is that? Oh my God, I love Meg the Stallion. And so that is seen in the selection of the image, the way that her skin is glowing, the way that the cover lines, as you can see. The
tone on tone is so magnificent. The tone on tone is so, and this to me, again, is a technical thing I would mention to you guys that usually the masthead are a totally different color. It's actually complementary colors or contrast, so that will pop. This picture would not be as powerful without the masthead. This picture would not be as powerful without the tagline. And that to me is art. And that to me, I can see and understand your point of view as editor-in-chief. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We had so much fun. I mean, in this world that we are living in, to have the opportunity to be making fashion images, to be doing photography, making videos, creating this content, I know that I am so lucky.
Mm.
And so I want to make sure that anything we are putting out there into the world demonstrates the best of what we can do, because I know I start every day being so grateful for what I'm able to create.
Wow, you created something so magnificent and beautiful. The curvature of the set.
Thank you.
So you guys, when you're out there, you have to understand the image takes an entire team. A set designer, a prop stylist, and then hair, makeup, and the lighting, the crew. It truly is a collaboration. And back in the days, we may not be so lucky to have those kind of collaborations. And I'm so proud and happy that industry has really looked into itself and then correct a lot of things that need to be corrected. And for you as an editor in chief to say that I'm about my team and the humbleness that you bring to it, it wasn't like that 10 years ago, and it's, I'm excited to see what you're going to do next. So
Thank
congratulations.
you. Well, I mean, I say it because it's true, and that we have we genuinely have a good time working together, and I hope that that comes across in the content that we create. Because, like I said, the consumer is really smart, and the consumer knows when something is, you know, BS.
Fake.
The,
You know,
the,
you
the
totally can
consumer
say
knows that
yes.
something is fake, and I think that that brings a lot of responsibility on people who are making this kind of content to come with ideas that are unique and inspiring for the reader.
I love that. Well, we'll come to the part of a little bit of Q&A for you.
Okay.
So these questions has come in from the DMs in the last 24 hours, and some of them come from the caller that we just saw. So one of the questions people want to know is, what is the worst part being an assistant to start out?
Oh my goodness. So I think that there's a lot of young people who want to get involved in fashion. And I think that the worst part about being an assistant is that you are constantly at the beck and call of everybody. And you have so many different people who are telling you what to do. And another part that's really challenging is that there's a lot of like manual labor involved in being an assistant.
But you get muscle.
You get muscle, you get strong in your heart as well. But I think that it really is important to understand that you are observing how a set works. You're observing how the fashion editors, how the photographers work, and you need to soak all of that in while you're also doing a million tasks, running errands, carrying heavy bags, and basically juggling at all the balls in the air.
I love that. That's great. So next question I have for you is that I want to know, since you've been styling from so many different brands, you work on high end, low, mix high and low. How does that affect your own personal shopping habits and your own personal style?
I think that as I have gotten older, I have been more minimal in my own closet. And because my job is working with products and selecting items for photo shoots and helping to inspire people with all the great fashion and beauty trends. Actually, for my own wardrobe, I want to have a little bit more simplicity because I want to be able to channel all of the trends and the creative excitement for the reader, and I don't necessarily need it for myself.
So there's a pet peeve of personal of mine that I remember when I first started out in this industry, that when I see a stylist on set, I know they're stylists because they deck themselves head to toe in the latest jewelry, the latest jacket, and I find that they would put their own self into the shoot.
Yeah.
And when I meet a stylist like you who are confident will come on set as almost a blank canvas and allow the subject and the talent to be the one in focus, is when I realized what kind of stylist I want to work with. So that was really refreshing to learn from the process.
Yeah. And I think that when we're working with celebrities as well, it definitely 100%. You want to make sure that you're channeling that person.
Well,
and it's not about you. It's not about
our dear friend Leah Wire have asked this question for you. What's the biggest thing you're seeing changed in this fashion industry, in the magazine industry?
But in the magazine industry, I think that creativity is absolutely becoming in a space where I think that each brand, and so my brand is Marie Claire, each brand needs to make their identity way more clear. I think that for a long time, there were so many brands out there. And now with social media and with digital media, there are even more media brands out there that I think that consumers can get confused about,
Mm.
what is Marie Claire? What is, all these other brands? And so I want to make sure as I am getting started doing Marie Claire, because this is only my first issue, that every single idea that we put into the magazine, onto the website, and onto our social feed feels like it's touching one of our core DNA brand touch points. So also, I mean, another big thing, of course, with, in the, few years that I have been working in this business is, of course, the rise of digital media. And
Mm.
so actually for us, it's been a really great uh, creative solution because there are some ideas that just make more sense for digital and for social. There are some ideas that make sense for a video and a YouTube application. And there are some ideas that make sense for print. And so as a creative person, as a visual person, I love that because we're able to have an outlet for anything we want to do.
I love that. And last question for you is that someone wants to know what is styling is not really just about clothing, right? What is the something what is the component of styling that has nothing to do with clothes?
Oh, well, that is an amazing question that no one ever asks me. And because I think that people who love fashion are just thinking about the clothes and the accessories. And of course, I love those things too. But when you're working with talent on set, it is actually a lot more psychology than it is the clothes. Now, of
Mm.
course, you want to have beautiful things on set to offer to the talent that you're styling. That's incredibly important. But beyond that, I think that creating a powerful relationship with the talent is such a matter of trust
Mm.
and of charisma and your own personality. Because if you imagine if you were in a store and someone you don't know came into the changing room with you and started picking out clothes for you to put on. Like, no, I'm sorry, that's a very personal moment.
Right.
But my job as a stylist is to do exactly that. It's my job to come into the changing room with you, pick out clothes that are going to be exciting for you to try on. And I also have to be able to tell you when something doesn't look very good. So I need to create a bond with the people that I am styling right away in order to make sure that they feel like I have their best interests at heart.
I love
And
that.
I have to truly feel it. I know you were interviewing James Demolay the other week, and he echoed this as well. Like, I, when I come on set as a stylist or as a fashion editor, of course now I'm editor in chief, but I know that when I'm engaging with a real person who has their own insecurities, they have their own fears, I have to make them feel like I'm here to take care of you and I want you to have the greatest day ever and for you to be so happy with the images that we created. And that has to come from the heart.
I love that. Well, I have one more question. I thought that was the last question, but this one is so important. They just keep asking on the bottom of the scroll. They're asking, since you have done so many titles and you've seen every beauty products, you know all the goods and bad of the products out there. What are the few products that you would recommend our viewers to always to have?
Oh, whoa. Okay. Well, for Asian women, the
Or
best
men?
and men. Okay, but it's mascara, so I don't know how. I mean, if you wear mascara, more power to you. And this is my favorite one. So my favorite mascara for Asian women is called Hourglass. Um, it's called Coston Extreme Lash Mascara. My design director, fabulous Wan Yi, she recommended this to me because it doesn't transfer when you have Asian eyes. So this is like killer beauty product that I love.
I think that's
Um,
gonna be on the list to give to my mom for the holiday.
yes, and it's like a beautiful, beautiful gold packaging. It just is great. Another thing that was a really coveted item this year is these incredibly beautiful Hermes lipsticks. So these are the two of the Hermes lipstick colors. The one that I have on today is this one. It's so beautiful. and the packaging is like so satisfying. It has this magnet, so you put it on, you just let it go, and it's just like just gives you chills every time. I also really love this. This is the moisturizer that I'm using right now. It's called La Creme Venom. It's got like bee venom in it, and for me, my skincare routine is the single most important part of how I start and end my day. And so I love this moisturizer. And then, oh, an SPF. SPF is the other super important thing. No matter what ethnicity you are, you must wear SPF. This is the one that I wear from Clé de Peau. It's killer, and this is the thing that I would like take with me, certainly to a desert island, but truly anywhere I take this with me. And then the last thing that I really want your audience to know about is, so when I'm on set of a photo shoot, I am getting up, I'm getting down, I'm tying someone's shoe, I'm clipping the dress, I'm doing a million things, and I need my hands to be free. And so I always have this awesome water bottle that is this beautiful water bottle that comes in this leather bag. And here I put like my phone and my wallet, and then it has this like cool crossbody strap. And so that way I'm able to have a reusable water bottle, so I'm not using tons of plastic. And then of course I have all my essentials like my phone and my wallet with me all the time. So I think that when you have a job like mine, which is very active, like I need my hands, I need to be able to run around the room. I don't want to be carrying tons of things. And so to be able to have my water and all my essentials is really important to me. And also, of course, to lead a bit more of a sustainable life. And so those are my essentials.
Can I tell you, you just gave me the best list for the holidays. I so
Yes.
appreciate
Yes.
that. So, guys, I will have the links where to purchase these at the YouTube link when we post this on YouTube. Well, Aya, thank you so very much for being with me today. You have shared so much experience, and and I know you don't know it, but you inspire me so much. And not just being an Asian, but being an Asian woman with a powerful voice. And I love that, and I look up to you so much in everything you do, including running the New York Marathon that I chickened out twice already of doing. And I know I can talk to you forever. Next time, I'd love to hear from you about how you are being a mom and still be
Thank
able
you.
to juggle this career that you have. But we're running out of time. But thank you so very much. And I hope next time I see you, we'll be on the set that we get to create.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to your whole audience. This has been a true pleasure.
And we'll talk soon. So thank you guys very much. And you can see all this content on YouTube as well as on IGTV Live. And if you have any questions at all, please make sure you DM Aya. She will be able to help you. Fashion questions. I won't be
DM me about anything.
and,
I'm into it.
And this has been an amazing pleasure to spend time with you. And you guys, everyone out there, please stay safe and stay healthy. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.